Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This week, we're taking a look at what's involved to make homemade hamburger buns. Now, until we tried these last year, I never really thought too much about the bun part of a hamburger. There's generally so much else going on with the burger, the bacon, the cheese, the toppings. Usually, the bun ends up as an afterthought. Well, we wanted to have burgers one day last summer and didn't have any buns in the cupboard and none in the freezer, so we decided to make them. And let me tell you, if you haven't had a burger with a freshly baked bun like this, then it's definitely worth the little bit of effort and time that's required. So let's jump in and get to it. First thing up is to get out our kitchen scale. I'm generally not someone who measures out food when I'm cooking, I just kind of cook to taste. But for baking, you have to actually be fairly precise for it to work most times. So I like to use a scale for measuring these ingredients. To the bowl, I'm going to add 180 grams of warm water. To that, I'm going to add 9 grams of active dry yeast, 10 grams of sugar, 380 grams of all-purpose flour, 10 grams of salt, 20 grams of olive oil, and an egg. I'll put that on the stand mixer fitted with the dough hook and set it on the lowest speed to start with. We want to get all the ingredients incorporated and all that flour hydrated. Okay, now that it's all come together, we want to knead it. So I'll turn the mixer up to medium high and we'll knead it like this for a good 5 to 7 minutes. You want the dough to slap around in the bowl. It'll make your mixer jump around on the counter, so keep an eye on it. You can see the dough sort of break up into different pieces and then come back together. This is all good stuff. We're working the dough, strengthening the gluten. After 5 to 7 minutes, you'll have a dough that is smooth, stiff, fairly dry, and not sticky. It'll also be quite elastic and it'll stretch without tearing. If it's not like that, then just knead it for another couple of minutes or so. Now, I'll just give this a few kneads here by hand to shape it into a rough ball, and then I'll get it covered with some plastic wrap or a tea towel and set it aside in a warm spot for 1 hour, or until the dough is doubled in size. Like this. So I'll turn this out onto an unfloured work surface, and then I'll just give this a few kneads by hand to press some of the air out and tighten the dough back up for the next stage. I'm going to use a bench scraper, but you could also use a knife to divide the dough into 8 equalish pieces. Now you could be really precise and weigh these out with the scale, or you can just freehand it like this. In our house, actually, some people like a slightly smaller bun, so having a few different sizes isn't really a big deal. Now, there are a couple of ways to form these into balls. The first way is to pull down the sides of each piece of dough underneath the rest on all sides, pushing the dough ball up while you bring the dough together underneath with your fingers. The second way, and the way that I think is a little bit easier, is to kind of flatten the piece of dough out on the counter and then pull it up on all sides, pulling all the edges in together at the top until you have a nice tight ball. Then you want to take each of these balls and with your hand kind of cupped loosely over it, you roll it around on the counter in small circles. Now you'll be able to feel the ball tighten up and get rounder, and you'll feel the tension that it creates against the countertop. And each one of these gets placed on a baking sheet covered with parchment or a baking mat. And I like to stagger them out a little bit here just to give them a little bit of extra space to expand. Now we're going to press each one out flat into a puck sort of shape. And you can use a spatula for this, or you can just use your fingers like this. Then we'll cover them all up again with plastic wrap or a tea towel, and we'll set them aside for the second proofing. This time just 20 minutes or so. And this is the time to get your oven turned on and preheating to 375 Fahrenheit or 190 Celsius. Okay, so here we are 20 minutes later, and you can see that these have risen up nicely, gotten nice and puffy, and they're ready to go in the oven for the first stage of baking. And here we are at the 13-minute mark. So I'm going to pull these out. They're not quite done yet, but we're going to add a little bit of a topping to them and then put them back in to finish baking. So you could just top them with a light egg wash at this stage, and that'll give the tops a nice shine when they're done. I'm going to do a couple that way. I'm also going to do a few with sesame seeds and then a few with an everything bagel seasoning. Because the buns are hot, the egg wash dries really quickly. So you have to kind of egg wash and add seeds almost right at the same time if you want the seeds to stick at all. And here are the finished buns. These have a nice soft crust, really nice light soft crumb, but they don't fall apart easily, which is great for a burger. And they have a really nice chewiness like a good bread does, and that makes for a great burger bun. So let's take a look at what it costs to make these buns, and then we'll also compare it to a few store-bought options. So the largest cost, actually, to my surprise in this recipe, is the egg and the egg wash. Around here, we get 24 eggs for just a little over $10. So that egg and egg wash accounts for about 43 cents. The flour is the only other significant cost, if you could even call it significant, at 38 cents. So these 8 hamburger buns come to a grand total of $1.01, or 13 cents per bun. So let's do a quick price comparison with some major supermarket brands, just for interest's sake. The cheapest buns I could find were these Dempster's brand buns. You get 12 for $2.47, or 21 cents per bun. This more premium offering was 8 buns for $4.57, or 57 cents per bun. Finally, this other popular brand, which were 8 for $4.97, or 62 cents per bun. Now, clearly, ours have all these beat by a fairly wide margin. Beyond that, we know exactly what ingredients went into ours, with no preservatives, no shelf stabilizers, no dough conditioners, the things that you find in most commercial store-bought breads. In terms of how long it took to make these, they do require some forethought or planning to make sure that you have these ready in time for dinner. These buns required about 20 minutes of prep for measuring out the ingredients and then kneading them with the mixer. Then there were the 2 separate proofing times with the dividing of the dough and rolling of the balls in between, which was a good 80 minutes altogether. And finally, they baked for a total of 16 minutes. So definitely not quick, but for a treat from time to time, absolutely worth it. Anyway, that's today's dish. Soft and springy, but with a good chew, homemade buns are the crown to a great burger. I encourage you to give this one a try. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please do hit the like button. And as this is a brand new channel, I'd very much appreciate you subscribing so I can keep bringing you more of these videos. Talk soon.